Hello, my name is Elijah Thurston, and I'm going to tell you how to structure a speech for maximum effect with some help from Mark Zuckerberg. All right, so there are three different ways to sort of help do this, and it all comes down to the structure. So today we're going to go over specifically how to capture the audience's attention, then how you're going to hold their hand. You're literally going to walk them through your content. You have to pretend they have the memory of a goldfish. And finally, you're going to close in a way that lasts, something that will stick with them. When they leave your speech, they need to remember something, or else why are you doing what you're doing? All right, so here we are with Mr. Zuckerberg. So we're going to use his Harvard commencement speech, his 2017 commencement speech. Yeah, this babyface super genius right here that you see in front of you, he happens to be a pretty good public speaker. And he's good because he's good at capturing attention, first of all. So that's what the opener is all about. And you can see here the acronym GATE. You can see what it stands for. So let's just jump right into it. The first part of GATE is gain attention. How does he do it? How did he manage to gain people's attention outside of being a multi-billionaire who runs probably the third or fourth most powerful company in the entire world? Honestly, I don't think he had to try very hard. Anyway, he does go about it in a very interesting way, actually, in that he humiliates himself. As I just said, he's a billionaire. He's got what everybody else wants, so you might expect him to not really have to try. But he is creative here, and he says, I'm honored to be with you today because let's face it, you accomplished something I never could. Speaking to these college graduates, he happened to be a college dropout, as you will see with the second point here, which is to arouse interest. So people are looking, they're watching, they're listening. Now let's keep them interested, get them interested so they actually stay locked in, stay honed into what you're talking about. So how does Mr. Zuckerberg do it? Well, again, he takes an interesting approach here in stating, I'm an unlikely speaker, not just because I dropped out, but because we're technically in the same generation, referring to the fact that most commencement speeches are done by older generations. So this is a very unique speech indeed, and not just because it's the owner of Facebook standing up there talking to you. It's because of all of these other reasons as well. So this might be a conversation worth listening to, right? All right, next up in GATE, you're going to tell them exactly what it is that you're going to tell them. It's that simple. It's exactly what I did at the beginning of this discussion. So you have to basically act like the audience has the memory of a goldfish, and you got to break things down point by point by point by point. And that's the best, well, it's the easiest way to structure the body, but you can also just simply break this down in the opener. So Zuckerberg does this here with the statement. Today I want to talk about three ways, point, to create a world where everyone has a sense of purpose. What are these three ways? One, take on big, meaningful projects. Two, redefine equality so everyone has the freedom to pursue purpose. And three, build community across the world. Right? Very specific, and now it'll be easy to digest the content that follows. But we're not done here with the opener. Lastly, you've got to engage them. Make sure that you go ahead and do a pulse check on the audience. Make sure they're still following and engaging. This is where you kind of can target the audience a little bit, kind of bring them into the discussion. Zuckerberg does this by using what I refer to as in speak, or otherwise he brings up something that only they know. And he says, we may have taken different paths to get here, especially if you came all the way from the quad. Zoom in on that, all the way from the quad. So he's referring to a very specific thing that only the audience will know. And he says, but today I want to share what I've learned about our generation. Again, him and the audience, they're becoming one, essentially, in the world we are building together. Look at all of those action words and look at all of that we kind of talk. That's awesome. And now we're ready to jump into the body, right? Zuckerberg probably, well, honestly, he doesn't have much of a body coming from a personal trainer. He needs to go ahead and hit the gym a little harder, but you can bet that his speeches have a body. And we're going to learn about that some more. So basically the opener, if we want to go ahead and do some food analogies here, the opener is like a steaming plate of mozzarella sticks, just to throw an appetizer out, right? It's an appetizer. And then the body is the meat and potatoes. With one very specific point, I'm sure you're already kind of wondering about this. So that is if the meat were shaped like a triangle, and basically then the potatoes as the body, it's inside the triangle. Just bear with me. We can eat soon. I am a little bit hungry making this speech, but I promise that we can both go eat soon. All right, moving on. Thank God. Into the body with the organizing triad. The organizing triad is just a way of structuring your body, a very specific way to structure the body. There are actually a multitude of different organizing triads. What Zuckerberg uses, though, is this very simple point, point, point. You got point number 1, point number 2, and point number 3. If you can recall, when we went over the opener, he laid out exactly what the points were. All right, so point number 1. All right, he makes sure that you can actually find the points really easily in the transcript, and I mean, it makes this project kind of lazy. You can make sure that the audience basically knows right away, these are the points. There's no confusion here. You know exactly what's going on. And he says first, identifying his first point, obviously there it is. Oh, surprise. First, let's take on big, meaningful projects. Awesome. Yeah, good point. And on to point number 2. He, again, identifies it right away. It's kind of like a polite little nod, like, here you go, guys. Here's the second point. Please pay attention. And he says the second is redefining equality to give everyone the freedom they need to pursue purpose. Redefining equality. Interesting. Moving on. Point number 3 is purpose does not come only from work. The third way, the third point, we can create a sense of purpose for everyone is by building community. All right, look at that. So the purpose itself can be created via the act of building communities, according to Mr. Zuckerberg. Great work. All right, and moving on. So we basically made it through all 3 points that he outlined at the beginning of the speech. Now it's time to actually end the speech, which has a process and organizational structure in and of itself. So yeah, we can't eat yet, guys. We've got to get through the rest of this project. And how are we going to do that? We're going to go ahead and basically go over the closing. Last, link to the opening, assure your purpose, send a clue, and tell them. Again, just laying it out there right off the bat, pretty easy. So how does Zuckerberg link to the opening? He says, class of 2017, you're graduating into a world that needs purpose. It's up to you to create it. Now you may be thinking, can I really do this? Wow, look at that link, because basically he's going to pull the audience out of their headspace, like, hey, wake up, guys. Let's get back to the chairs you're sitting in right now. Let's stop thinking about all these deep things, this purpose stuff, right? It's not just out in space, right? This is something that you can use in your life. But he does link back to the fact that, hey, you are indeed the class of 2017 and you're graduating. Like, this is real. This is really happening. And then he goes ahead and he assures his purpose. So basically, he's going to reassure the audience that all of the ranting about purpose and meaning actually holds purpose and meaning. That's awesome. And basically, to accomplish this, he states this. It says something about our current situation that I can't even say his name. This is referring to someone that he talked about within the body of the speech, because I don't want to put him at risk. But if a high school senior who doesn't know what the future holds can do his part to move the world forward, then we owe it to the world to do our part too. He's reassuring his purpose. The purpose is purpose. You got to find your purpose. He's setting out the purpose of the speech as purpose, right? If that wasn't clear, go ahead and listen to that again. All right, moving on. Send a clue. This is my favorite part of the whole speech. Basically, the audience is clueless and you have to give them the clue, right? You got their attention, you captured their attention so well that they might just sit there. You'll be on your way to I don't know, the next $1 million public speaking event, and they'll just be sitting there for years waiting for another one of your words. Because they're listening so intently. They don't even know what's going on. They're like just waiting for more words. And obviously that could result in some lawsuits. So you got to remember to tell them when the speech is ending so that they go ahead and remember, oh, I'm actually an autonomous human being and I can understand, oh, the speech is ended now and now we can leave. So give them a clue. And Zuckerberg's clue is, before you walk out those gates one last time as we sit in front of the Memorial Church, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he's reminding you, you can indeed walk out those gates. And we are indeed sitting in a church. Just a reminder, you're here. You're a person. And moving on to tell them. This is the last part of last. It is. And the last part of last is actually the last part of the speech because it's the end of the closing. And the end of the closing is tell them. So now that the audience is ready to leave, you can't let them go without basically a piece of the speech to take with them out on the road. You got to give them just pretty much a string of words, something pretty concise that's going to bounce around in their heads for a few days afterwards. So they take the speech home with them. And this is what Zuckerberg says, and this is what the audience takes with them. Class of 2017. You are graduating into a world that needs purpose. It's up to you to create it. Beautiful, masterfully done. One concise sentence goes ahead and hits the purpose. It hits a call to action. It's memorable. That is beautiful. Great job. So thank you so much, Mr. Mark Zuckerberg, for that masterful speech. So now I've gone ahead and shown you, the audience, how he did it. How did he make such a perfect speech? He captured the audience's attention, first of all, using, what does he use? Gait. That's right, gait. And second, he walked you through it, literally walked you through the content step by step by step with his PPP structure. That's like the triangular meat with the potatoes. It's the triangle potatoes, all right? And then finally, he closed in a way that lasts. I actually still think I remember it just like off the top of my head. Like, you have purpose. Now you got to go out there and capture it or create it. Man, that's cool. I will remember that for a long time. And that's called last. So you got gate, you got PPP, you got last. That's how he did it. So how do you go from a nerd to a master public speaker? You open the gate, you reveal the PPP, and you will never be last again. Thank you.